What's up, guys? It's Football Truth here with another episode, and today we got our first episode actually with the NFL Power Rankings 2020. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. So, we're going to separate this into two sections. We'll start with the bottom 15 of the league, and then we'll have another video, a part 2, with the top 15 in the league. So stay tuned if you want to see that as well. So, to start off, let's go with the Jaguars. Jaguars, I think, are a pretty easy pick. They're the bottom tier of the league. They're horrible. They have Minshew as their starting quarterback, and we all love Minshew, but let's face it, like, he's not a starter. He's just a fun player to watch. The receiving core is, DJ Chark, I do think he's underrated. But, their defense used to be so elite, and they really got no one anymore. They traded Campbell. They traded Jalen Ramsey. They traded A.J. Boye. Telvin Smith retired. Miles Jack isn't what he was supposed to be necessarily. Look at Jalen Smith now compared to Miles Jack. They have a good D-line because they drafted. They just traded Yannick Ngakoue. So really they got Caleb on Chase on unproven player. And their O-line, I couldn't give you the first person on their O-line. I think they got Cam Robinson. Can't tell you anyone else. Cut Fournette today. So that just justifies my opinion of them being at 32. Number 31, Washington football team. Still getting used to that. They got an amazing D-line. I'll give them that. And as an Eagles fan, it's kind of scary knowing that they'll probably get at least 5 sacks per game against any team. But then you look at the rest of the team. Quinton Dunbar, they don't have him anymore. They got rid of Trent Williams. So who's going to protect Dwayne Haskins? Dwayne Haskins, on the other hand, he hasn't really developed into much so far. So let's see what he can do in year 2. Scary Terry's a great receiver. He's going to be a stud, but who else do they have? Not much. They have Kelvin Harmon. I know he's developing. They got Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis. He just got arrested. So, they're not in a great position. I think 31 suits them just fine. New York Jets at number 30. They could honestly be 31. Got rid of Jamal Adams. He was the only thing keeping them afloat. Sam Darnold, a little overrated, I think. I think he has nothing to work with either. They got rid of Robbie Anderson. They have Denzel Mims, but he's not going to produce that much in year 1. He's more of a developmental. He's going to be a potential kind of player. Le'Veon Bell isn't quite the same player he used to be. He's not going to be able to carry an offense. He can't. And Mekhi Becton, a great left tackle or right tackle, wherever they decide to put him, but it's not going to change this entire team. Number 29, New York Giants. I think they're much better than the bottom 3. Their O-line is better with Andrew Thomas. He kind of solidifies that left side. Daniel Jones was actually surprisingly good last year, I thought. Besides the fumbles, he did make some pretty big boy throws. I think he has more work to do, but I don't think he's going to be a bust. Darius Slayton was like a pleasant surprise for probably a lot of Giants fans out there. He might be a stud. Saquon Barkley, of course, the heart and soul of this team. And their defense is just not looking good. DeAndre Baker was bad anyway, but he's gone. They don't got a ton on defense. James Bradbury, I guess, was a nice addition, a little overpaid, but we'll see how he transitions to their defense. Cincinnati Bengals at 28. I think the Bengals will be a lot more fun to watch than those bottom teams. I think the Bengals have a really good receiving core if they're all healthy and all reach their potential, especially John Ross. If John Ross can just put together, this receiving core could be scary. It's like the perfect receiving core because they all complement each other. Joe Mixon, another really underrated player. He's a great running back. He catches out of the backfield. He really does everything you want. And their O-line. Well, they had Jonah Williams, but he got injured last year, so he's coming back. Hopefully he's going to be a lot better and what they've had. But they got 4 other positions they need to fill. Their O-line's not going to be good for Joe Burrow. Their defense is, they overpaid it for a lot of players. Trey Waynes is not that good. They just don't have a very good team overall. But the future could be bright in a few years. Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, honestly, shouldn't have won, 5 games last year? The Dolphins, Brian Flores is a great coach. Could have won Coach of the Year with that kind of team. They shouldn't have traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, but right now their secondary is looking great. Byron Jones, Noah Igbubuagani, I think his name is, and and Xavier Howard. So like that's probably a top 2, top 3 secondary right there. Yes, they invest a lot of money on that defense too. With Kyle Van Noy was a great addition. They did get rid of Laramie Tunsil on the O-line, so the O-line's still a work in progress, and we'll see what Christian Wilkins can do in year 2. But the Dolphins are definitely heading in the right direction. They also got Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson, he might come back, bounce back. They did overpay for him, but it is what it is. And Jordan Howard and Matt Breida, that rushing attack might be pretty good. Carolina Panthers, I don't know what to say. I mean, their defense is so iffy, man. They drafted all defensive players, and we just don't know. I mean, like, they have a shortened offseason this year, and defense is one of those things where, like, you have to play together to get a good grasp and know where your guys are going to be. You need the entire team. Doesn't matter how good one player is. He can't play defense. The whole team has to play good defense in order for the defense to work. They got a lot of weak points. I like Derek Brown. He'll be a great nose stuffer. And I don't know. I mean, the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, he's kind of a game manager, but I think he's good with McCaffrey. The receiving core is all right. I mean, Curtis Samuel, he needs to go. I don't think he's going to be a great receiver in the future. But DJ Moore's developing nicely, which is was a good sign. So Panthers could be good in a few years. Detroit Lions are definitely better than these other previous teams. They're probably in the next tier. Detroit Lions, I mean, Matthew Stafford's so underrated. Kenny Galladay's so underrated. Their defense is really what holds them back, and they just got rid of Big Play Slay. So they don't have much of a defense. It's kind of like a base defense. They don't blitz a lot, so they can't really win games with their defense. And so Stafford's going to have to carry them every single game. TJ Hawkinson, they didn't have him last year. He might do better this year. He was like injured. I read about it on like one of the news articles. He was injured for most of the season last year, so that's why he wasn't producing very well. Marvin Jones is also underrated. He's a great red zone target. He popped off one time last year for like 3 TDs. He's a great receiver. He just needs to be more consistent, obviously. And the running attack with Kerryon Johnson, and DeAndre Swift. I mean, DeAndre Swift was projected to go in the first round, so second round, DeAndre Swift is a really nice value. So, on to the next. We got Chicago Bears. So, Chicago Bears, like, a great defense. I mean, Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, they're all amazing players. They have no offense, and you have to score. I mean, they don't have David Montgomery. I read might be out for part of this year. I mean, they have no one behind him. Tariq Cohen's just a receiver playing running back. I mean, he's a great for what he is, but he's not a guy you can rely on like Christian McCaffrey. It's just they're not the same type of player. You can't compare them. Who else they got? They got Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's a great receiver, but they can't even get him the ball. I mean, Mitch Trubisky's awful. Nick Foles is, as an Eagles fan even, he's just so inconsistent. You can't rely on him. And so they paid Jimmy Graham, which was the dumbest move in the entire offseason. And their offense it's not going to score points. All right, we got the Houston Texans next up. Houston Texans really took a big step back without DeAndre Hopkins. I just can't see this team going past 8-8, really. I mean, Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback, elite, top 5 maybe. But the receivers, like Kenny Stills, they got Brandon Cooks. They're all like the same. They're all speedy receivers. And Deshaun Watson, we'll see what he does without DeAndre Hopkins. But he's already running from his life. Like, I mean, he can't carry this team to that extent. They got rid of Clowney. J.J. Watt is just not quite the same player as he used to be. I mean, their secondary is like atrocious. It's just the Texans, I can't see them being much higher than this. The Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders had a really nice offseason, I thought. I mean, Max Crosby was definitely a steal. Henry Ruggs was also a good pick, I think. Even though CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy were both there, Henry Ruggs makes this team compete with Kansas City. And they're in the same division, so that's really important that they're both matched up like that. If you have a game changer on one side and you have a game changer on the other side, just score back and forth as long as Derek Carr can keep it up. Derek Carr's a decent quarterback, I'd say. It might be a make or break year. I know they got Mariota behind him too. As far as the Josh Jacobs is a great pick. Maybe not in the first round, but he's doing great things for them. He really carried that offense last year, and their defense is gonna get better. I mean, hopefully Clelin Ferrell develops in year two. He wasn't my first pick or really anyone's, but we'll see how he does in year two. So the Raiders have a bright young team. Hopefully they get better throughout the year. Indianapolis Colts. You might be surprised to see the Colts this low. I mean, the top offensive line in the league, but I just don't see any flashy players on their team that are going to be like playmakers. I mean, Phillip Rivers is one of the most overrated quarterbacks. He has great stats with like the passing yards, but throws so many interceptions. Has never really been to the playoffs besides like maybe like a few years ago. I mean, he doesn't really win. You know, you got to win in this league. They got Malik Hooker. Their defense is really just a bunch of guys besides Darius Leonard. They got Rockison, who might develop a little more, but, you know. And on the receiving side, T.Y. Hilton, I haven't heard about him in a while. He hasn't done much. He's always injured. And Michael Pittman, he's a good pick, so we'll see what he can do with that. The rushing attack might be good with Jonathan Taylor, though. Keep an eye on that. So, next up, Atlanta Falcons. Also, I kind of wanted to put them higher, but I just couldn't. There's just too many new pieces. You know, they got so much talent with Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, and Julio. You're thinking Super Bowl all the way. Todd Gurley's not quite the same player anymore. You don't know how much you can rely on him. And they have, like, no depth at running back. So if he goes down, they don't have much of a rushing attack. Off of that, you know, Matt Ryan, he's a good quarterback. He just hasn't really returned to that MVP season a few years ago, so it'd be interesting to see what he does. And Calvin Ridley's a great number 2 receiver. He might leave, to be honest, because he probably doesn't get enough action as he deserves. On defense, their defense is like maybe one of the worst in the league. I mean, I'm being honest here. They don't have much on defense. They got rid of Vic Beasley, he wasn't even that good, and they drafted, who did they draft? A.J. Terrell. A.J. Terrell was actually, I mean, I thought it was a reach, but I've been seeing like some video clips. He's been doing pretty well, so he might be a good pick later on. Houston Texans. Oh, no, my bad. Los Angeles Chargers. All right, Los Angeles Chargers. They have such a good defense. Elite defensive personnel, but their offense is sus. Austin Eckler, I love him, but he's not number 1 running back. He can't carry the load. He's a complimentary running back. He can be maybe the lead back, but he needs help, and they don't have much help for him this year, which is unfortunate because he might get banged up, and then they got no one. Their receiving options are great with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, just great receiving options. Just it all comes down to really Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert, whoever starts, and how well they play, because the defense is loaded. I mean, top 5 secondary in the league easily. Got great D-line, just overall great defense. Los Angeles Rams, I mean, their defense lost a lot this year. Dante Fowler leaving, Eric Weddle retiring. Their defense is just like kind of thin now without anyone but Aaron Donald. On the offensive side, they also lost Brandon Cooks, so now they got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp there need to carry the load. They lost Todd Gurley as well, so that's not a great sign either. I mean, they got Cam Akers, but we don't know. He's a rookie. So the Rams are looking right now. I don't know. I think they went all in on Jalen Ramsey, and it just wasn't the right time to go all in, I think. I think they're a little too late for that. And so Jalen Ramsey, obviously, he's a great player, but they gave up a lot for him. Too much, I think. New England Patriots at 17. Man, it's kind of weird seeing the Patriots this low, but trust me, this is where they belong. They lost so many guys, and not only that, I mean, they lost Van Noy, and then they lost all these guys to opt out. I mean, they lost Dante Hightower and like 8 other players. I mean, they had the most of any. So this team's not going to be the same team. This defense isn't going to be the same defense, and they have no talent. And people are all banking on Cam Newton. We'll see how Cam Newton does, but the Patriots might be one of the least talented teams in the NFL. And so it's up to Bill Belichick and Cam Newton to carry this franchise to a few wins or so. All right, guys. So that's the end of part 1. Part 2 will have teams 16 through 1. I'll be going more in depth on all of them. And so I just wanted to say have a great day. Please like and subscribe for more content to help us grow. Really appreciate that. And Football Truths out. Peace out, guys.